Hello, this is the Tradesight U.S. Stock Market Preview for Tuesday, the 3rd of April, 2018. Hope you had a good trading day on Monday the 2nd. Here's the deal. The world banks were closed on Monday, except for the U.S. The U.S. had the bank holiday on Friday for Good Friday. So typically you don't get much on that first day after Easter. And of course, it's not just the first day after Easter this year, it's the first day of the new quarter. March was the end of the quarter. The statement's printed on Thursday when the market closed. We were closed on Friday. So typically you don't get much. We did get a lot. We actually got a very big move down. Volume wasn't terrific, but it was still, enough. And it was better than it really should have been. I mean, usually it's a very boring day. But we've got some issues with Amazon. We've got some issues with China imposing matching tariffs on us. And so it was a negative day in the markets. And by the way, when you look at it, here's the ES front month futures contract. This is the daily chart of the broad market futures form. This is the lowest close of the year. It's the lowest close since back in basically November of last year. So even though we did dip lower twice in February, we bounced both of those times. Now we're not. And I keep telling everybody, this chart pattern we're sitting on is not pretty. There's nothing good looking about it. And when we break all this, if we break these lows, it is not going to be a positive. We couldn't get back above the EMA there that you see. We've been struggling with that. I think the best chance to save this pattern was back at the beginning of March when we tried to break above 2,800. And when that couldn't hold 2 days in a row and then started heading lower, it's pretty much the end of the pattern. And so I just don't see how this is a positive from anybody's perspective. Your best chance that's left would be a big down day in the next day or two that then reverses and we get like a double bottom between the early February and then now. But if that doesn't hold, we're in big trouble. Big trouble. And all the bulls are in trouble and everybody long is in trouble. And then you'll start to see margin calls. And then 6 to 9 months out, you're going to start to see job losses in the economy. And that's how that always works. So be very careful. Let's just go through the major indices and then we'll look at the intraday action, which wasn't that great because of the holiday, but it was still negative. And then go from there. Crude oil down. That 13 sell signal back in January is still kind of the high. The static trend line from the move down after that is the high. But we were down $1.90 to 63.05 on Monday. Gold, on the other hand, up 15.2. The S&P cash index loses 59 points. And by the way, here's the one other thing that might save you. If I got a projection, but that's a 13 buy signal today. So we've got a new closing low on the S&P, but maybe a 13 buy signal. Or we do have a 13 buy signal. Will that be enough compared? Now, remember, the S&P cash and the ES look different because the ES trades around the clock. So will this be a double bottom off of a 13 buy signal? I don't know. This is going to be really, really, really interesting to watch. And, of course, more than anything, look at that risk line. You see that pink line down there around 2470, we'll call it? That's going to be the big number. If that doesn't hold, forget it. We're in a lot of trouble. Everything after that is just a mess. Nasdaq 100 down 190.29. It was lower on the session. Again, erasing all the gains for the year. The SOX down 51.89. It's a big loss for the SOX, which was just recently at new highs, but now it's almost at lows for the last 6 months. Biotech's another one. This never made it back to new highs, but down 133, one of the biggest down days of the year for the biotechs, and getting near 6-month lows. The VIX gains $3.65 to 23.62. It was higher intraday. It did not beat the highs of last week yet. Trend gets a huge reading, so it takes that 10-day moving average up, so we're not going to get that sell signal anytime soon. But 2.61 for the day, 1.37 for the 10-day moving average. Nasdaq volume, 2.3 billion. Again, that's lighter than the last 2 days, and a lot of that's just because even though this is still a good number, almost 2.4 billion shares, that's more than you would have expected when the rest of the world's on holiday. So that tells you how significant this move really was. What's funny is with all these things down and all the majors in my list negative, Nasdaq advanced decline ratio ended up positive. It was negative by a couple hundred early in the day, but it's plus 611. That means there's 611 more stocks on the Nasdaq up than down, even though the Nasdaq's down 190 points. Advanced decline ratio on the New York, on the other hand, negative 1795. That's obviously a negative. And why is the Nasdaq down even though the advanced decline is not horrible? Well, Google down 24.51, getting near the lows of the last 6 months. Apple loses back another $1.10, and it was lower. Amazon, which is the current news cycle story, down 75.35. Netflix down 15.06. Tesla down 13.65. That's new 1-year lows basically on Tesla. TLT, the 20-year bond ETF, was basically flat, and Goldman Sachs loses 451. By the way, the Dow, which we don't really care about, did sweep to new lows, but it was down 450 at the close. It had been down about 700 at one point in the session. That actually puts it with a 12 towards a 13 buy signal. All right, let's take a look at the intraday action here. So, again, a small gap down, tried to reach up and fill on the ES, didn't quite do it, and then just went down, down, down. The afternoon was the slow part. It was the morning that was interesting. The Nasdaq side, same story. Didn't quite fill the gaps. Came close. Down, down, down. Bounced over lunch. A little bit lower, but didn't really get anywhere. And then bounced. We were looking for that afternoon sell-off. That could have been really interesting. Again, typically this is a day that would have been very light volume because the rest of the world's on bank holiday. So you don't expect much. You got a little more movement than you actually thought. We made a fortune in the futures today. It was absolutely ridiculous. All right, so in terms of economic data, we've got the IBD tip economic optimism number at some point early in the morning on Tuesday. We've got total vehicle sales at like 2 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday. We've got a Fed member speaking 30 minutes after the bell, and that's it. There's still plenty of data to come later in the week, but this is not the one. So Tuesday, no more world banks closed. Everybody's open. Everybody's back to work. New quarter, new everything. It's going to be really important because this does not leave us in a good place. So if we can't recover off of this, and in fact, I would say if the S&P closes down about 20, 30 points, that's not going to be a positive for the market. Charts, as usual, brought to you by eSignal. If you've not yet taken a trial of our services, feel free to do so. We will help you out for a couple weeks. Have a great trading Tuesday.